Class. Students, since last 3-4 classes, I have been working with constraint optimization. While explaining constraint optimization and its applications in economics, I explained consumer's equilibrium and producer's equilibrium separately, that too in detail. While explaining producer's equilibrium, we did see 3 variants of producer's equilibrium, that too we saw in detail. Now, it's the time to wind up this constraint optimization, so it becomes imperative that if we can compare and contrast, or we can find a symmetry between consumer's equilibrium and producer's, and in fact there is a nice symmetry between consumer's equilibrium and producer's equilibrium. This is what I am going to explain in this class, and from next class I shall be entering into operation research, that is linear programming. So come on the blackboard. This side shows consumer's equilibrium, this shows producer's equilibrium. Firstly, I have written that both consumers and producers both are supposed to be rational. In classical theory of firm, consumers and producers are taken to be rational, though in modern theory of firm as well as in the behavioral theory, this assumption has been relaxed. Anyway, here it is assumed, since this is classical theory, so here it is assumed that consumer as well as the producers both are rational. What does it mean? Consumer is rational in the sense that consumer always tries to maximize its utility when he consumes goods. On the other hand, producers are supposed to be rational because he always tries to maximize his profit. So this is the meaning of rationality in economics. Third point says that for explaining consumer's equilibrium, we use IC and price line. This is IC, this is price line, whereas to explain this producer's equilibrium, we use or we take use of IQ and ISO cost line. This IC, mathematically it is expressed as U as a function of X and Y, and this price line, this one PL, its equation stands as XPX plus YPY equals M. This is the price line. This side, this is the production function IQ. It could be expressed as Q as a function of K and L, and AB is the ISO cost line, which could be expressed as L into PL plus K into PK, or some book L into W plus K into R. This W and R are the various prices of labor and capital. This is wage rate and this is rate of interest. Now this IC and IQ, if we compare these two, then IC is downward sloping and convex from below. IC is downward sloping and convex from below. Now the downward sloping nature of IC is being shown by marginal rate of substitution. Mathematically it is written as dy by dx, and this stands as minus mux by muy. So this slope is, the absolute value of slope is the ratio of marginal utilities of two goods, and since it is negative, this is downward falling. And secondly, IC is convex, so this second derivative has to be positive for the convexity of IC. Similarly in IQ is also downward sloping and convex. Now the slope of IQ, that is dk by dl, is known as marginal rate of technical substitution, and this is equal to minus ratio of marginal productivities of two factors, that is MPL by MPK. This is negative, absolutely 0 se kam hai ye. And this is IQ is also convex, so d square k by dl square has to be positive for the convexity. Now the mathematical model for the maximization of utility and the maximization of profit, written as maximize u function of xy subject to xpx plus ypy equals m, and here we express the function as maximize Q function of K and L, LPL plus KPK equals C. This is the cost, or this is the amount to be invested by the producer on the production of the goods. So in macro sense, you may call it as the amount of investment to be made by the producer. As long as you are in micro, it is known as the cost, but it is investment to be made by the producer. Now there are few more similarity that I also use. Now come on, 7th point, we must see the equilibrium condition. Both are similar. Here, condition says that IC is tangent to price line, that is at E, and secondly, at the point of tangency, IC is convex. Similarly, in producer's equilibrium, what we observe, IQ is tangent to iso cost line and IQ is convex at tangency. Now, equilibrium, what is equilibrium condition and its economic interpretation? Then equilibrium condition says that at point E, MUX by MUY equals PX by PY, that is, ratio of marginal utilities must be equal to price ratio of goods. In this case, we express equilibrium condition as a ratio of marginal product of two factors must equal the price ratio of two factors. This is the reference. Now, these were the symmetry or the similarity. Now, there is one point of dissimilarity, that IC is ordinal in nature. Utility can't be quantified or measured in numbers. So IC is ordinal, but IQ measures output quantity, but IQ is cardinal. And finally, we may differentiate that at point E, only one phenomena is happening, that is utility is maximum. But in case of producer's equilibrium, at point E, three phenomena are taking place at the same time, that is cost is minimum, product is maximum, and profit is maximum. So the students, I must hope that by now it must be clear that what producer's equilibrium is and what is the consumer's equilibrium, their individual derivations, and finally I have compared in between these two things. So in this way I come to the close of this constant optimization. From next class I shall be entering into operation research, that is linear programming. This is all for today. Thanks.